For more than half a decade now, Donald Trump pressing enter on a tweet has resulted in only one thing: dread and negativity going into the world. But what if it could be a different world? What if Trump tweeting could actually make the world better? Well, let's talk about Defeat by Tweet. And we're joined by this organization's both co-founder and the senior advisor, Xander Schultz. Rashad Robinson, welcome to the Damage Report.
Hey, it's great to be here.
I'm glad to have you on. I'm excited to talk about this. So taking Trump's tweets and making it a force for good in the world. Tell me about your organization and what you're going to accomplish.
Yeah, look, Trump has existed his entire life without consequences. The guy has done things that would get all of us fired or ruin our lives daily, and that includes the messages he sends out to the world, and only has been elevated because of it. And so it was nice for all of us, all the donors of Defeat by Tweet, to collectively finally add consequences to that. And we're doing so by funding Black-led community organizers in the swing states that, if properly funded, will be the driving force behind his defeat. And not only his defeat, but all of the local and state level elections that we need to win if we're also going to achieve, at least move towards a more just country, move towards racial equity. And so it's an honor to both, be able to poke the bear and fund the incredible work of folks like Rashad and the other 21 organizations in the Justice Fund.
And Rashad, how did you get involved in this?
Well, Xander reached out. I mean, he's been a person, him and his entire team have been folks that have been really invested in finding ways to support Black-led organizations, supporting efforts to change our criminal justice system and build more energy. And what I love about this idea immediately when Xander brought it is that far too often people talk about how much they care or how much they're outraged, but always don't have ways to act. Not everyone is going to get to be a frontline activist. Not everyone is going to work, 24/7 for an organization doing this work. And inside of a global pandemic, we're not going to be knocking on doors in those final days in a lot of places. But ensuring that organizations have the resources and support so they can reach their people, that we can engage them and move people from care into action is critical. And if we can do that by connecting the very real threat of Donald Trump and the day-to-day interaction with helping people open their wallets and making those investments, then that is great. And I'm just always happy when we can pair our vision with execution, and we can also build the infrastructure around it to make change actually possible.
So let's talk about some of the numbers. So he tweets and money goes to these organizations and individuals. So how much overall are we talking about so far that's been raised?
We're approaching 1.3 million, hopefully tomorrow. We launched on June 26th, so we're only 8 weeks old. So we've had some nice traction. I think it's just the beginning of big things on that front. Another exciting milestone is we're going to hit $1,000 per tweet. So collectively, the 18,000 donors that donate to Defeat by Tweet are making up $1,000 per tweet. So it's nice. It's a nice round number. And I hope Trump, one day sees this thing and understands the damage he's doing to himself. Not that he'll change his behavior. The guy has no discipline whatsoever, but it'd be nice for him to know what we're all doing, to combat his hate speech.
And so obviously, like, the main reason it's good that you're doing this is that it's going to go to good causes and all that. But it is nice just to know that when you're experiencing in real time him losing it because he's live tweeting Sean Hannity or whatever, that each one of those is raising $1,000. Like he weighed in on the tragic events in Kenosha last night. He tweeted 2 tweets about it this morning. $2,000 going to a good cause. That takes a little bit of the sting out of some of how horrible everything that's going on is.
It's been a cathartic experience for so many folks. Like the amount of folks that wake up and text me now are like, he tweeted 20 times this morning, and they're excited by it. And they're just completely ignoring the content. The content's irrelevant now. It's just like a cash machine. So it's also been nice for all of the donors to have some cathartic experience. And we're going to continue to play with that. Like today, actually, we're launching the Radical National Challenge, which allows people to donate every time he says the word radical in his keynote speech tomorrow. And so it's just another way of Trump doing this triggering thing. And how can we flip that on its head and get folks to be able to participate and enjoy the disaster that he is, knowing that they're funding really great work.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be waiting to see, because he's gonna be tweeting during the speech as well. Someone will be tweeting for him. So the money goes to these.
Been good for us. He's tweeting
exactly.
like crazy during the RNC.
He is. So the money is going to these organizations. How do you go about figuring out where the money should go? Who should be recipients?
Yeah, as a white guy, I thought it was a good idea to disintermediate myself from being the grant maker or program officer as well. So we partnered with Movement Voter Project, who has a long history of working with really, really great grassroots organizations. And we asked them to select the 22 most effective ones they knew in the swing states that could take on all this additional capital if we are able to move, $5, 10, $20 million.
Yeah.
So those were our partners on the grant making side and the program officers selecting these organizations.
And Rashawn, I know that you've been writing recently about the connection between Trump, the social media platforms, the people who manage them. Obviously, these are very important to him. It's one of the reasons why this campaign is so enticing. It's sort of turning his power against him. But going forward, how important are these social media platforms, the rise of things like QAnon organizing on Facebook and all of that? How big of a source of support is that for Donald Trump in 2020?
I mean, it's a huge support for him, just the way the platforms are set up, but also all the sort of strategic choices the right has made to weaponize conservative bias inside of these platforms so that they treat civil rights as one side of the coin to attacks on conservatives. I mean, if you watch the RNC convention, you would see throughout many speeches from the first lady on down, you saw people talking about the problems on social media platforms as if Donald Trump is not on social media platforms every day attacking people. So we know that these platforms are a huge problem. We know that Mark Zuckerberg picks up the phone and would call a Donald Trump before pulling down a post that he should have pulled down and then end up not pulling it down. What we're trying to do here is recognize that there's a long game of regulation that has to be in place. We need new rules of the road for corporations, and these businesses should not get to be this big and should not get to control the marketplace. But in the meantime, we actually have to win elections to be able to get new rules. And part of this is giving everyday people the ability to translate that outrage into dollars that will help fuel the type of winning strategy, with a deep recognition that the groups that have been selected, groups like mine, the Color of Change PAC, groups that led by folks like Alicia Garza and Desmond Meade and Patrisse Cullors and so many others, are at the forefront of not just winning elections, but at the forefront of challenging the type of corporate and government power that far too often stands in the way of the type of change that our communities need. So elections are to the puzzle, but we're working to build infrastructure so we can actually not just win elections, but we can win real world change.
Well, and that sort of naturally leads into, let's say that hypothetically everything goes as planned. The organization is already taking off. I mean, people like Mark Ruffalo, John Legend, Andrew Yang, Cory Booker, Anthony Scaramucci, everybody's promoting it. So it's taking off. Let's say you raise a ton of money, goes to good causes, and eventually Trump loses. Does the campaign continue once Trump is out of office?
Rashad, answer this for me. Have we achieved racial equity if Joe Biden wins the presidency?
I don't think anybody would say we've achieved racial equity of Joe Biden. I mean, in some ways we'll figure out how Donald Trump continues to engage and whether or not he captures as much attention. This is not about simply defeating Donald Trump, but it's about defeating Trump. It's also about defeating all of the ways in which decisions that were made decades ago around the power that was given to corporations, the ways in which mass incarceration has been incentivized through a whole profit structure, the ways the big banks have been able to dictate the ways that our economy works across so many different spaces. We have a lot of work to do. And so part of what we have to recognize is that we need new rules of the road and we need infrastructure that represents communities to achieve it. And this is one intervention that's happening right now that's incredibly important, exciting, and fun. And some of this just has to be fun sometimes as well. And then we've got to continue to recognize that the eye on the ball is not simply about beating Donald Trump, but about making our communities have all the resources, opportunity, and equity we deserve.
Yeah,
this is really, just to add to that, this is about building infrastructure. infrastructure for these communities to not just defeat Trump. They happen to be the best investment if we want to defeat Trump, but to win all of these DA elections, these local elections, all of the things that have created this system that is so inequitable. And so will Trump remain the trigger in terms of the funding source after the election? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see how it plays out. But we're definitely going to make a pitch to the hopefully hundreds of thousands of donors we'll have come November 3rd that, hey, the best investment you can make in this country is an investment in Black community organizers. Yeah. Rashad named them. The folks you're funding are literally the John Lewises of today. It is Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors, Daryl Atkinson, Phil Agnew, Rashad. It's really the heroes of our modern times. And so it's not just a fun campaign. There's a lot of F Trump energy out there, and I like that as a magnet that's bringing folks to this work. But I think some of our job is to then share the work that Rashad's doing and that these folks are doing, and say you should be invested not just now but in the long run. And this is a really thoughtful structure to do so.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope so. I agree with you. A lot of energy is out there. And I certainly agree that to the extent that literally any of 2020 and the Trump experience can be made just a little bit more fun, I don't begrudge anyone wanting to do that or making that happen. So I do thank you for that. I look forward to a future of every time I see him tweet feeling just a little bit happier than I otherwise would. And so thank you for that. If people would like to participate, what do they have to do?
So to sign up for Defeat by Tweet, you go to defeatbytweet.org. You sign up, you choose, a penny, 5 cents, 10 cents per tweet, and you can sign up right there. Also, if the RNC has been particularly triggering, like I mentioned, we're launching the Radical National Challenge today as well. So if you go to defeatbytweet.org/RNC, you can sign up for that and donate a few bucks every time he says the word radical. He's trying to paint folks like Rashad as evil radicals because Rashad wants folks to have clean water and not be murdered by the police.
That is crazy. That raises a couple of important points. So why is it important to reclaim the word radical?
Look, every important hero that we all recognize was called a radical in their day. Nelson Mandela was called a radical. MLK was called a radical. This is not new. This attempt to slander people who have these bold visions for more equitable futures as dangerous people, on the fringes. And most folks don't have the time to listen to Rashad's whole platform or haven't heard Rashad's whole platform of what really he sees, the future being. And like the way I think the word radical, these are folks that are able to imagine a radically different future where we raise the social safety net, where people are treated better and not only envision it, but then act on it. And so that's what radical means to me. It's important we reclaim the word. And it's important that we also show folks a lot of what's going on is just showing folks historically, none of this is new. None of this is new, right? Painting civil rights heroes as radicals is not new. Trying to dismiss the media as biased is not new. And so I think we need to continue doing that work. I know you all do that work at the Young Turks, and I'm appreciative for it.
Thank you. And Rashad, your thoughts?
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think that, at the end of the day, when we win, we get to write the history. And so part of this is actually having the infrastructure, having the strategy, and having the resources to win so that we can tell the story of where we were and where we're heading.
Awesome. And one more final question. I don't even know if you can disclose this or even if but you mentioned that when people sign up, they can do a penny, a nickel, 10 cents. What's the highest pledge per tweet so far?
I think we have a leaderboard on the site actually. So
do you?
Yeah, I think we have $20 per tweet in there, which he tweets 900 times a month. So it's about 18 grand a month.
That is dangerous. You could tap out a bank account on Trump's Twitter.
You can set, just to be clear for everyone though, you can set a limit. So we project out 900 tweets a month, and you can say cap me at whatever that is. So if you're in for a penny, you're capped at $9. We won't crush you.
That makes sense. And I appreciate you having the forethought there. Rashad Robinson, Xander Schultz, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, go check out Defeat by Tweet, and I appreciate you both joining us today.
All right, brother.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.